let's hit this shit.
All right.
All right?
All right.
K-pop, so fans of cinema across the planet. You got Jaime and Fuego here for Enfuegotainment, and I am joined by a face you have seen before as my special guest host,
Jacoby. Yeah.
Jacoby Beef. That's the dude. Thanks so much for joining me today, man. Gracias.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
Most def, dude. So today we are talking about one of the best biopics that I have seen in a great long time. And being a music dude, I mean, as you can tell by the shirt and the hair and whatnot, I cross all the streams, man. You know, I do metal. I have a love for all kinds of music beyond that as well. So today we're talking about Straight Outta Compton.
To Compton's very own Ice Cube, Eazy-E, and Dr. Dre. I gotta tell you, you are witnessing history.
People are scared of you guys. You have a unique voice. The world needs to hear it.
They want NWA? Let's give them NWA.
Straight out of Compton, crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube.
This is only the tip of the iceberg, gentlemen. What's going on? What do you have in that bag? Are you kidding me? You can't take that in the bus.
No, we're not swigging from the 8 bottle, but as you would expect. But yeah, man, Straight Outta Compton, it was a film that I was highly anticipating for the sheer fact, man, that I think this is the greatest rap album that was ever made, at least for me, you know?
Yeah. You're actually the person who gave me the album.
Yeah, I can take credit for that one and gladly will.
My first interpretation of it was actually a little bit, I thought it was kind of corny at first, but
And
I didn't
It's not the
realize
most sophisticated album, but it's raw, and that's why there was so much great fodder to make a movie about, just from, you know, everything that album represented, you know?
Well, after seeing the movie, I realized how significant it was and how defining it was
Big
for
time.
the genre of rap and everything. Like, definitely opened my eyes and I appreciate it a whole lot more. So thanks, man.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, dude. Happy to turn you on to it. It's good
Yeah,
stuff.
dude, I like
And
it.
it's
a lot
good
more.
stuff. And here at Enfuegotainment, we covered the hottest entertainment with an edge, and we like to basically do the good, the bad, and the ugly, or as I call it, the bueno, the malo, and the feo. So, good album. Great movie, too, I must admit, especially for one that was so long, man. I mean, it was almost 2.5 hours in length, and yet it did not feel like 2.5 hours, and it hit the ground running right off the bat.
It didn't drag
right?
at all at one point. It kept going, and every point I was interested.
Yeah,
it
kept you engaged.
Yeah,
right?
no, it was really good.
It goes right to the point, right off the bat. I mean, you start out with Eazy-E.
Easy is his name, and the boys coming.
Straight out of Compton, it's a brother that'll smother your mother and make your sister think I love her.
Who basically is the center character of this movie, if you ask me. I was thinking it was going to be more Cube or Dre, and they're definitely heavy players in the surroundings, and you know, we'll get to my malo, my bad, about somebody who I was a little disappointed wasn't emphasized as much, but this is kind of Eazy's movie at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, and I wasn't that familiar with Eazy-E and how much of a role he played in the whole album and everything. Like, really, he was a centerpiece for that whole collaboration of characters. And,
it was his drug money that was used
that
to
intro
fund the album,
was
man.
awesome too.
It was awesome.
Like that was so good.
As I said, the movie hit the ground running, or should I say hit the roof running, because you've got like Eazy storming out of a drug house and there's cops and it's crazy, and it just really set the tone well from the very beginning about you know, just what this film was going to entail.
Yeah. I was like, wow, I couldn't even. That was a very dynamic scene.
And it showed that he was the central character, at least from the bat, even when bigger names like Dre and Cube came into the play.
Oh, as far as everything they're rapping about, it kind of rap in that short little intro.
Yeah.
That was what they were rapping about. It was him.
That's good insight, because Dre and Cube, they weren't the thugs necessarily to the degree. Like Eazy was actually living the life, man. In contrast, you know, more bueno. You know, besides hitting the ground running, besides, I mean, using F. Gary Gray, I thought as the director was a really cool touch for the sheer fact that he hasn't really done a lot of movies. You know, he directed Friday. He directed Set It Off, which was that robbery movie with like Will Smith's wife who did that metal record, and you know, I think Queen Latifah from Living Single was on there. White America, check me out. This is me being real for a second. White America basically was fascinated with this type of street culture, and much more so by the time I started to discover, you know, gangsta rap. That was what was in vogue at the time. You know, that was when Pac was hitting hard, who you see in the movie. You see Snoop in the movie. You see all the big
guy that
names
plays
that were.
Pac looks exactly like him.
That's some
I was
bueno,
like,
right?
is that the
I thought
hologram?
They were, that's what I thought too. I had known about gangster rap, you know, and just that type of stuff. I was enchanted by it.
Did you
I was really
did you
fascinated
get
by it.
that NWA album when it was
I got
popular,
it out. I got it out later. That was the thing. I had discovered my gangster rap, you know, in my time of doing hip hop.
Awesome about the movie too is because I could reference when I actually came to like knowledge of that, and it was when Snoop's album first came out. The very first Snoop album.
Yeah,
and
Snoop.
Bust like a bubble, and when you that whole thing, and then I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like that was my first deal with it.
And that's more bueno though, is that the fact that the film kind of showed all of these hallmark moments when all the people associated expected him to be. Not only does he look like him, but he was solid. Same with the guy who played Dre. And the one thing about F. Gary Gray that I got to mention that was cool, he may have only done a couple films, but he directed music videos for Ice Cube and for Dre. And I mean, he did Natural Born Killers from the Murder Was the Case soundtrack. You know, I'm a natural born killer. And he did the video with Cube for, oh goodness, Couldn't Believe It Was a Good Day. So he had a history with these guys already. So I thought that he was great to tackle the subject. I thought the direction was good, the pacing was good. I thought the bueno was good acting. The bueno was the fact that they paced it well. I mean, dude, the scene alone where they're first starting to record Boys in the Hood.
And
they're all laughing and joking and talking shit to each other and stuff. I mean, you could sense the camaraderie with the actors and that they had chemistry, right?
Oh, definitely. I'm still wrapping my mind around that whole thing that it's the same director that did Friday. That's crazy.
Which they talk about in the movie, right? Maybe he showed a little bit
more love towards Ice Cube.
As far as bueno goes, do you think Dre's character was portrayed bueno?
Oh, most definitely. I thought all the characters were really good. The Tupac one especially was the best as far as, like, I thought that was Tupac. I wasn't as familiar with the characters in the movie as you are. Like, I became more familiarized through the movies. So
yeah, and that's what a good biopic does, right? It kind of informs people who are less familiar with the subject, right?
Oh, most definitely. But that's why I was getting to that thing about Dre. It's like, I read that thing, and it's kind of like, you know, like any movie they're gonna try to show it as awesome or whatever as possible, and
in his case,
that kind of took the realness away from me. Even though if I wouldn't have known that, it probably wouldn't have.
The preconceived notions, you can't go into a film without them, and so I guess that is a good segue into the malo. As bueno as I thought the film was, it wasn't perfect, obviously. My personal favorite guy in NWA was MC Ren, even though I think Ice Cube was the most talented. Sorry, Dre, no offense, but at least as far as like just the way he approached it and the fact that I didn't think he just ever got as much love as he should have, and the film really kind of followed that by he was the only main MC in the group that you don't really get a backstory to, and you don't really get a little intro. I mean, you meet him in the club like maybe 30-40 minutes into the film. I mean, did you think his character felt kind of hollow?
I didn't know anything about him until I saw the movie, but yeah, there wasn't much about him, and I still don't know that much. And then when we left, you were playing some stuff, and I was like, okay,
if it ain't rough, it ain't me. Homie's black and he's about to
you gotta listen to that album after you see the movie.
You have to.
It's
we put it on right afterwards, man, and I was immediately jumping to the tracks that I thought should have been featured. And,
yeah.
So I guess maybe that's some malo, is there were certain bits of their music that I thought should have been featured, and especially in the latter half where they were going more for the most recognizable solo tracks and stuff like that. But I mean, that's what's really gonna emanate.
Well, that's good for everybody, because then other people who know about it will share with their other friends. Be like, hey, this is what I feel like they didn't leave this part in there.
Yeah, you can get to the deeper cuts and stuff like that. And this was a deep movie. I could see how maybe somebody who isn't as engaged with the topic, might think 2.5 hours is kind of arduous. It is a little bit lengthy of a runtime, but honestly, films like Ray and The Doors and Walk the Line and other biopics that I think of, they really, they always have a lengthy runtime. So there's often a lot of story to tell. So
The Doors, that's funny that you brought that up, because it made me think about The Doors and how many other bands have done performances where they've had cops come in and stop it because they were saying things, and I was like, I have mad respect for something like that, where you use freedom of a speech to a point where people are like, no, or whatever. Like that was, I didn't know that happened to Detroit, where you know, I was.
That was actually one key bit of info about the band that I'd heard mentioned before, but I hadn't really read up about.
That's I don't know of any other bands that have had the cops actually stop because of what they're saying or something like that.
At least stop the actual concert. It was crazy, man. In the late 80s, early 90s, the world was really going through some significant changes, and that's maybe some other malo, not to the film's detriment, but just to kind of remind us how how bad things were and how much better things are. But then again, we're getting back to some of that, and not to get all political here, which I'd say maybe might be another malo for me, is I thought it got a little too heavy-handed with the politics in the final third of the film, like showing the blood and crypt rags together and stuff. That was a cheese scene, man.
That was definitely
that's
cheese.
One of the few. The movie was honestly at its best when it was fun and they were first getting it all going, right?
But the scene on the bus was pretty cool. Where when Ice Cube was on the bus and they were about to kill that kid because he was throwing up signs. That's also more bad. That could be interpreted. That was cool.
That's malo. It was bad, but it was just really.
It had a little cheese, but it was cool. I like that.
Yeah, it was malo or bad in the sense that it was just kind of showing how bad things were back then. I mean, I don't think as often with the amount of police scrutiny and just the cameras everywhere and all this stuff in this modern society of ours that people know that they can't do something like that and get away with it like they used to be.
It opened up my perspective more than I had any idea it would. It was really cool to see, and I kind of had an idea, but to see it in the movie really opened my mind to how
it cemented it for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any other malo that you can think of, stuff that just didn't jive
besides
for you
the Dre scene? How they... Alright, so tell me, who was the person that... Dre punched somebody, right? Or
and I mean, this doesn't have as much pertinence for the sheer fact that it's not in the movie, but it's a big glaring omission, and this is actually a good segue from the malo into the feo, from the bad into the ugly, because there was some ugly that we kind of feel like was purposely hidden in this movie, and that's what Jake here, my co-host, Mr. Jacoby Beef is referring to.
Well, I read something right before we saw it today.
Oh yeah, well, lots of fellow critics of mine, who are in bigger, more respected circles, they've all said, why are you going to show Detroit and then not show he did an interview with a female journalist, and she was trying to portray them in a negative light for being derogatory of women, for glorifying violence and stuff like that. And what did Dre proceed to do after the interview? But beat the living crap out of this chick, and he even had a statement in the press afterwards saying, all I did was throw her through a door, and I was just like, wow. So I mean, the fact that they portrayed Dre in such a positive, he's such a brilliant.
That's why I mentioned the whole thing about Ice Cube, is because if he directed Friday, there wasn't much negative stuff about Ice Cube. It was I was like, Cube, why are they screwing Cube over the whole time? It seemed like he didn't do anything wrong, and they kicked him out. Well, they didn't kick him out, but they gave him basically nothing to be in that group, and then they want.
And that's the Morpheo, is the basically nothing going to Cube. Some of the feo would definitely be the performance of Paul Giamatti. Despite being really good, it showed the shadiness of how talent gets taken advantage of.
I think he did good, and you hate him just because of the character he's playing.
Do you hate him, but for the sheer fact he actually sold it well, and even in his his bit at the end with Eazy, where he's trying to justify some of the bad stuff that he'd done, he almost made me believe him when he was trying to make Eazy believe him.
I know.
Because the performance was that good. Is a good example of the ugly, the feo, in not just the industry, but that was presented in the movie. A lot of people were taken advantage of. Eazy, as is not to spoil too much history, but Eazy was the centerpiece of the group, and that was kind of ugly for the sheer fact that you know, guys like Dre who went on to so much bigger success, and Ice Cube, I mean, he's doing family movies and making boatloads of money now. That's kind of Feo too, the way that they promoted that, and they're making another Friday, right? And that's supposed to have
Friday
with Chris Tucker back too, man. Finally coming back. We'll see about that one. But oh, dude, and another Feo that was so great, and a Friday reference that totally made sense. Bye, Felicia.
Oh man. So wait, is Bye Felicia?
That's from Friday.
So that's when it originated, right?
That's where it originated. So it was kind of a funny nod.
Man, and I totally
okay. You know, right here as we're filming
full circle now.
it kind of clicked in my head. That's why Cube put it in the script because that's a good writing touch. And you see, this is actually a good example of the fact that we're sitting here trying to think of, you know, bad and ugly things to mention about the movie, but we keep coming back to good stuff, to bueno, for the sheer fact that this was a damn good biopic. And, you know, well, there's lots of raunchiness, and there's TNA, you know, all over the place, some girls in the biker shorts, and, you know, you don't even see the biker shorts a lot of the time. You see that Wet n Wild Eazy-E pool party brought back to life and stuff like that. We keep coming back to the bueno because of the sheer fact that I think this ended up being a really awesome snapshot of a creative milestone as far as not just rap goes, just creative, you know, music in general. I mean, just art in general. There's a reason why these guys are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're not a rock group, but they're in Ohio, dude, and they're in there for a good reason.
Yeah.
Anything else you think just needs to be mentioned about this Righteous movie before we, you know, cut to break and, you know, start hitting up the 8 bottle and start jamming some more straight out of Compton?
Dude, I'm kind of freaked out because Eazy-E died at the same age as me.
Yeah, same age as me too. Yeah, that is something to be scared of. You know, but
I'm about to bust a flow.
You know, everybody knows, we're not going to get spoiler about it, and this will be our final Feo, is that we all know what happened with Eazy. It's common knowledge, so it's not a spoiler to mention that, of course, he passes away in the movie, and, you know,
I'm embarrassed because I didn't know.
Yeah, it does become...
That's why...
You didn't know that?
No,
Or you didn't
Well,
know...
I knew he was dead, but I didn't know the whole story about
did you not know?
Yeah, no,
well, we won't
not at all.
spoil that, obviously.
See, so that's what... I'm telling, like, a lot of stuff, it's hard for me to say how genuine and how real it was because a lot of it was new information to me. So
yeah,
it's hard for me to make the comparison. But
from someone who's a big fan, it was pretty spot on, except for, you know, the little thing we mentioned about Dre being omitted. But in any event, guys, bottom line, the film... It's a really cool glimpse into a very creative time for not just hip hop but art in general. And I gotta extend as we roll things out now here a grande gracias to my co-host here, Jakup Hizzow. That's right, the Jacoby Beef man. Thanks for joining me, dude, and you know, talking about this genre of hip hop. Thanks. Yeah. It was real, dude, as it always is, and this film is really, really good. So I do urge all of you to check it out. You can find Jakup Hizzow on the Facebook, and you know, connect with him, say what's up, and, you know, talk hip hop or all kinds. He's into so much other music.
Let's talk hip hop.
or just talk movies in general. Yeah. How about we leave it at that?
Let's probably not talk hip hop.
Yeah, he doesn't know that much of it. So.
Well, let's talk hip hop and let me know what's going on because I have no idea.
That's a good thing. Yeah, check out Jakup Hizzow, say what's up, talk some film with him, and then you got me. I'm at Jaime Enfuego on all social media sectors. You can also find me at Horror Show 666, helping out with the HorrorShowChannel.com, and that's lots of righteousness there, along with Heavy Metal Television hosting as well. So, a grande gracias to all of you peeps, and thanks for tuning in. I will see all of you next time, sin amigos. So, adios. Gangster, that's what they say. It's not about a salary, it's all about reality.